Hey guys, it's Hicks here from TGN and TsM, and welcome to episode 6 of TsM Talk. Now today's going to be a pretty hectic day. We're going to all be talking about the Battlefield 3 beta, and we're going to first start off with what is a beta and how did EA deliver the beta to us. We're then going to talk about the Battlelog pros and cons. Thirdly, we're going to be going into the gameplay itself and talking about the pros and cons of the gameplay and how it's different from any of the other Battlefield games. And then finally, we're going to wrap it all up with a little discussion on who's out of me and Nikki who is going to buy it and why or why not we're going to buy it. We got a lot to talk about today, so sit tight and enjoy the show. Hey, before we get the show started, here's a nice little menu that is going to be basically like the annotations that I've done in the previous videos. Instead, there'll be two annotations at the bottom of the screen on the rest of the video that allow you to come back to this main menu and pick the choices that you rather listen to. Okay, so let's start out today by talking about what a beta is and what to expect from Battlefield 3 beta. Now in software development, there are usually 3 to 4 stages before gold, which means the final product. The first step is pre-alpha. Now pre-alpha is things like requirement analysis, software design, software development, and unit testing is done in-house. Most of the core programming is also done during this part of the development phase. Then we move on to the alpha. Now the alpha is part of the process when it is the first time the software is tested in-house or invitation only, just like Battlefield 3 was. This is to make sure anything is really working at all. Models, sounds, animations, gunfire, comm setting, key bindings, etc. Now after the alpha testing is done, feedback is gathered and the creation of the beta begins. Beta is the third part of the software development phase where software features are usually completed but never final, such things as the Battlelog and actual functionality of the game. The focus of the beta though is to reduce the impact to users like me and you, often incorporating usability testing, and is usually released to people outside the company like a private beta or a public beta, just like Battlefield 3 is now. It is known that bugs/fixes will be present, and it usually is a much older build than what they're working on currently right now. Finally, before gold or the final release, in some cases there are release candidates. Now for gaming, I've never seen a release candidate, but I usually see them for software like Adobe Photoshop or your operating systems such as Windows 7 and Windows 8 currently right now. RCs are basically the final product, but just need feedback on critical or fatal bugs that could really hurt the company as a whole. Then there is your final stage, which is final version or gold version, where the game or software is completely ready to ship, and usually when a consumer gets it and installs it on whatever machine they're using, a day one patch is implemented. This is to take care of any last minute fixes or things that were mentioned inside the beta feedback and they never got to reference back to us. So right now we are in the third phase, which is the beta side of the software testing. So there are issues, and there should be. Though before we go into the full discussions, I just want to point out that EA and DICE has said that the version or build that we are currently using is over a month old, which is understandable too. But if you want relevant feedback for your game, then you need to update your beta to at least a relevant build like a week old, because some of the feedback that we've been giving you was probably already fixed before we started complaining about it to begin with. So I just want to add though, if you want the most relevant feedback, you need to update your beta. You should have. It's too late now, but that's something we're gonna have to live with. I also want to say that even though this is in beta stage, it truly feels like as if it's a demo or almost gold because of the little feedback we've been getting in the forums from DICE and EA, regardless of the tweets they've been saying and the 1 or 2 forum posts I've seen by one of the guys by DICE giving like a final part 1. That's very little, and some of the things that are critical aren't in that list, so it's kind of scary. Now that we know though the software phases, I want to comment about EA and DICE's delivery though on the beta. I want to note that EA did a pretty horrible job in regarding to getting the early access people taken care of on the day and time they promised. I was promised in my area that I'd get it by 7 a.m. on the 27th. I didn't receive my key until 11 hours later at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I had already lost 11 hours of my game time. They could have easily sent out these codes weeks in advance and allow us to preload the beta, so when the clock hit midnight on the 27th, we could all be playing the game right away. Instead, they decided to send out all the emails and allow all the downloads to millions of people at midnight on the 27th, and it crashed their servers immediately, and it really pissed off a lot of people because their early access went from 48 hours to only less than 24 hours. There was times in posts that I've seen that people didn't even receive their key till almost 5 hours before public beta went public. So they really screwed over the pre-order guys in my opinion, and there'll probably be no compensation for us, which is typical. Also, I would like to say that I'm glad, though, they went open beta, because it's really allowed DICE and EA to see how much torture it's going to do on the servers and allow them to do fixes before day one release. It's also allowed more feedback than if it was a private beta. I think they should have also opened up Caspian Border to everyone to allow the true Battlefield experience, because Metro is more catering to the new people they're trying to bring in, which is the Call of Duty players. It's okay that they're trying to bring in new people, but if you want to sell your Battlefield fans, you need to put on a Battlefield map such as Caspian Border, because it's a 64-player map. It was invite only, and I had to actually search on forums to find the password to even get into a server. So it really left, this beta really left nothing for us diehard Battlefield fans, and you know, it's kind of disappointing, but it's again something you have to live with and a company decision they made. So that will be the first section on the Battlefield 3 talk, just letting you guys know the software development phases and how EA and DICE did in regards to distributing the early access. So we're going to move on to the second part, which is the pros and cons of Battlefield Battlelog. We're going to start with the pros. Each person is going to individually put in their input for their pro, then for their con, and then we will discuss as a group together and agree to disagree on their inputs. Alright, so we're going to start with the pros first, and we're going to start with Nikki. So Nikki, take it away.
Pros of Battlelog is definitely it's a new interface, not in-game, so you don't have to install, a whole nother program for it. You can join with parties, so that's a good thing. You can, instead of having to join individually, you can get a group of people and go all in one server. You don't have to have a third-party voice talking system like Ventrilo or TeamSpeak. It has it within the party. You can drag and drop people within the party from the comm center. That's pretty cool. That's it for me.
Alright, well, I guess I'll go now. Now, the pros, personally for me, is Battlelog is like a Facebook for the Battlefield series. I know when I used to play Battlefield 2, I always had to go on to battlefieldStats.com and be able to look at my stats and things like that. And now with Battlelog, I have everything at my fingertips. I can just press stats or profile and look at all the stats, my KDR. I can see what friends of mine have gotten certain attachments, what levels they are. I can now, create a platoon or a clan and be able to join or be able to invite all my buddies from TsM or TGN into this platoon I've made, and we can all join up as a platoon into a game. I also, again, agree with Nikki. I can now make a party system that allows me to invite people into an 8-slot party system, I think it is, and we can do a voice chat and not have to use third-party programs like Ventrilo and TeamSpeaks and stuff like that. So, they've got everything all in one bundle, and this is what they really tried to push for with this Battlelog. I also like that it's a separate entity from the .exe, so if they do a patch or something to the game, it's not going to affect the Battlelog itself, which is really nice. So that means they can constantly be working on servers and stuff like that without hurting the game as a whole and breaking things that shouldn't be broken. I also like how searching for servers is much faster than from Battlefield Bad Company 2. I can now just put in quick filters and I can get the fastest one right away. I can also do a quick match where it just literally finds a match within a second and I'm already loading the game for it. So basically Battlelog is, like, again, the social aspect of Battlefield. The forums, everything is right there at the top. You can just click around. You can talk to your friends right then and there. You can import your friends from, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, even from your Origin friends. And so you can basically have a huge party and you don't even have to use third-party programs, which is really nice. Alright, so that's Nikki and mine pros for the Battlelog. Now we're going to move on to the cons. Now I know Nikki's got a lot of cons because she's not really fond of it, as I hear.
Personally, I hate the Battlelog. First of all, when you open it up in a web browser, you have that web browser running in the background. And if you have something like Firefox running the Battlelog, it takes up a lot of resources. So you're not going to want that running in the background. So you're going to have to use something other than Firefox, like Google Chrome. I've heard is good with it. And personally, I don't care about the social aspect of it. I don't care about other people's medals or ranks. I don't need another Facebook or Google Plus. I mean, this past few days we've had a lot of problems with it. I know it's still in beta, but you have to refresh the page in order to find out that you're part of a party. A lot of times the joining to a server while you're in a party doesn't work now. There's just a lot of problems that have come out of it within the past few days as opposed to right when it became an open beta. So tell me what you think.
Well, I personally have to agree. I don't like how it is web browser based because it's going to have compatibility issues with things like Firefox. Because like myself and Nikki have lots of add-ons with our Firefox, so it's going to use more resources, more memory. And there's some times where my Firefox takes up 300,000 worth of my memory, which can lead up to close to 5 to 10%, which is a big deal because that means you're also having to keep a browser open while you play the game, which can lessen your performance inside the game, which is a pretty big downfall. So what I would really like to see is that they used how Steam does it, is they use the Steam interface. Instead, they should have used their Origin interface to be their Battlelog. Just, you know, you mean they have links to their games and their My Games install type things. They could just added another tab for Battlelog, and so it would have launched inside of there and only use Origin, because I can literally not even load up Origin, and I can get onto battlelog.battlefield.com or whatever it is and start playing the game without even having to open up Origin, which is really nice.
Yeah, why would you want Origin running plus Battlelog running plus a game running when it's all in the same thing, you know?
Right. So, I mean, that web browser issue and things like that is very negative for the Battlelog. Now, I also believe that, and this is a pretty serious con, and one that I think DICE and EA really didn't, they probably thought about, but they didn't think it'd be such of an issue. But Battlelog is 100%, or the game itself is 100% dependent on Battlelog. If Battlelog is down, if the website is down for any reason, there's no possible way you can play the game. Regardless if you want to play single player, co-op, or anything, you cannot play when the servers or the website's down, which is a huge problem. At least with the .exe type game, with everything implemented in it once, you can at least be able to play single player until things get back up and running. But if Battlelog is completely down, which they've had it sometimes, it doesn't allow you to even play the game at all, and I think that might bite them in the ass at the end when all said and done. Also, as of right now, the Battlelog has way too many bugs. Again, like Nikki said, it's for the last few days. It's Saturday right now. Since Thursday, it's impossible to join parties again, and you can't join games as a party anymore. Your voice doesn't work anymore in the VoIP section of your party group, and it's just created a lot of problems and a lot of frustration. I know it's beta, and I know they're constantly working on the Battlelog, but I mean, it's gonna be pulling players away unless they, you know, show updates or more videos of the Battlelog when it gets closer to release date, to, you know, just assure players that are new to the Battlefield series that they're gonna get what their money is, or get their money's worth. Also, I've noticed that with Battlelog, it's fast to find a server, but it takes forever to get into one. Every time you get into a server, when you find a server, you have to log in. Then after you log in, you have to join the server. Once you start joining the server, you have to load the map, and then when the map is loaded, then you have to click on load map or your little .exe icon, and it throws you in the map. I understand that they probably did this for stability within their server side, so they again can work on the server stuff as a separate entity than the game, which is a great idea. But for the timing, I much rather use a server browser inside game that's instant joining instead of me having to load the game constantly. So I think those are all the cons that I personally have. Now we're gonna move on to the last part of Battlelog, which is to basically agree and disagree with our pros and cons. Nikki, do you want to agree or disagree with anything that I've said?
Well, I definitely want to disagree with the social aspect of it. I'm not sure why they think that it's a good idea to have everyone's accomplishments and achievements listed as like status updates like Facebook or Google Plus. Like, I don't like that. I don't need another account that tells me about I don't care about their achievement. All I care about is mine, leveling up and stuff.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I personally myself have plenty of social media accounts, and, you know, Google Plus, Twitter, YouTube, all those type of things. So I definitely agree where you're coming from. But I think they did this more or less for the hardcore players, the hardcore Battlefield fans, the people who professionally play this game on teams. A lot of people are competitive. Like, you know, I mean, when me, you, and Gabe and Vince play sometimes, you know, me and Gabe are always trying to get number one. We're always competing against each other, and we always like to see who has the highest KDR, who has the most wins and losses. So I see why they did what they did, using the Battlelog as a social aspect of their game. But I will say, I am so glad that they finally put the stats as part of it, because I was so sick and tired of when I played Battlefield 2 that I have to go on either one to two other sites to figure out what my stats were. If I wanted to know, you know, if I wanted to join a clan inside of Battlefield and I had to have a certain KDR, a certain win-loss ratio, you know, I always had to go into other sites and stuff. Now it's instant. I can just hoorah my stats and they'll know right away. So that's the one reason I really like Battlelog. But other than that, I'd have to agree, I really don't like Battlelog as someone who's a pretty hardcore PC gamer. I don't like having a separate entity type server browser aspect because I do like my game all in one. I mean, yes, it might break things when they try to update, but I just rather have everything as one than having to use extra resources and stuff like that when it could hurt my performance or my gameplay.
I just don't like it because also as well you have to have something additional running on your computer to take more resources for a game that already is demanding on your computer. I think they should have thought that through. They could have the exact same thing within Origin as opposed to forcing you to open your web browser to have it running on there while you're running these two other highly demanding programs. So I think that's something else they should have considered.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's why Steam was really trying to push EA to use Steam instead of Origin. I believe using Origin as their interface for Battlelog would have been a way better, a smarter move on their part than to use the web browser, because just like Steam does, Steam has everything. Steam is basically the pinnacle of PC gaming as a distribution place, a place for where people can create groups and stuff like that. And, you know, Origin's too late in the game. EA's too late in the game to do that. And I think that's why they're trying to push Battlelog with Battlefield 3. You know, maybe I would have liked to see them try and test out this Battlelog idea with a smaller game, with one of their smaller games, maybe with, you know, Assassin's Creed or games like that could have tried this interface that DICE are using instead of using on this huge title that everyone's excited for. And, you know, using Battlelog could honestly be a game breaker for this company.
Yeah, I think if anything is gonna deter me from actually purchasing the game, this would be a major part of it. I don't want to have to play a game where I have to go through a website in order to join a server and still have that running in the background. And like you said earlier, if the website goes down, you can't play the game at all. That's just a major downfall in that area.
Yeah, and I know they wanted to bring it special. This Battlelog is special to the PC side. It's exclusive to the PC side only. And so the Xbox and PS3 don't even have this. And when they mentioned matchmaking, you know, I was really excited because I was like, finally we're going to a style of finding matches like a console does. Now, the matchmaking is your quick match. That's what they consider the matchmaking. You can still do your custom server browser list, but I like how you can do the quick match, which is how the consoles do it. And, you know, they could have done that inside the game itself, the .exe itself, just like any other game, but I think they just really wanted to try and push this Battlelog thing, and, you know, I guess we'll just have to see if it really works for them. I really just hope they stay on top of keeping it updated, making sure it doesn't crash, and if it does, to get it up within the hour, because if they don't, I don't think this game will be a popular game for most because of the Battlelog being a pretty critical tie-in to be even able to play the game. Alright, so I think that'll be it for the pros and cons in our discussion on the Battlelog. Again, guys, Battlelog is basically the social network or social media part of Battlefield 3, and they're really trying to push it. And, you know, it has a lot of pros, but it also has a lot of cons. So we're going to move on to Battlefield 3, the game itself, the gameplay. We're going to start with the pros again, and Nikki, we'll have you start again.
Gameplay itself, I definitely like the new features they have kind of pioneered, like the flashlight reflections and the red dot reflections, that if you get in an enemy's line of sight, it can blind you. That's definitely new, and it's definitely new for a game. I like that the level up max is higher than the previous Battlefield 2 Bad Company. I believe you said that it goes to 150 levels, so that's more than triple of what it was for Bad Company. New weapons, you can have new attachments for each weapon, and it definitely takes longer to get new guns, so you definitely have to play a little bit longer, get feel for the gun that you start off with in order to get a new gun, kind of learn from it before you go on to the guns that you've earned. I like that they've brought back squads and you're able to still spawn off of 3 other people if you want to, but then you can also spawn in like a designated spawning area. So far they've released 2 maps in order to test out the game in beta. One is a rush map and one is conquest map. The conquest map they just released a few days ago with all the vehicles. The vehicles look pretty neat, I'd say. I haven't even been able to drive one yet though, because everyone else is in there grabbing them before I can. But there is a weapon that's solely used for aircraft, so rocket launcher, and I like it. It's pretty easy to use, I think, compared to Battlefield Bad Company 2. But the bad thing about Conquest maps that's made solely for vehicle use is that it's so big that if you attempt to run, you have to either go in a vehicle with somebody else, or you have to hurry up and grab your own vehicle and get to a point in order to capture it, because you're not going to make it on foot. With the Rush map, I like it. Kind of getting tired of it because that was, the first map that anyone could play, and we've been playing it for over a week now. But I mean, you don't see a lot of camping, and if you do, you can easily kill the person camping, so it's not much of a worry. Spamming, I've seen, is kept down to a minimum, although it's possible. So I think the two maps that they've put out for us to use is a good balance of the gameplay and use of weapons and vehicles.
All right, well, I'll start with my pros, which would be I really enjoy the sounds, the animations, and the graphics of this game. They've really done a great job in trying to pinpoint realistic sounds. Yes, some of the sounds of the guns sound pretty similar, but most gun sounds sound pretty similar. There's not a really huge distinct difference in their sounds. So I'm really glad that they've really focused on the sounds in this game. Seeing all the trailers, you can really see that. I mean, even with machine guns, when they're doing like an automatic fire, or the firing, and when they stops, it's like a click where the bullet gets jammed, or not jammed, but it gets stopped, and those sounds are so precise and very good. And I'm glad with this engine they're able to do sounds like this, because it just enhances and sucks you into the game that much more. I also realized when recording, because I try to record at 1080p and I've got a 560 Ti, I only get 20 FPS when I'm recording, because this game hasn't been optimized yet for video cards. Right now they're just on beta drivers. So when I record, I'm only record at 15 to 20 FPS on 1080p resolution, but it's still super smooth, and I'm really shocked by that. Really am. When I saw the 20 FPS, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to change resolutions to be able to record, and I don't have to, and that's a great plus. Seeing that their game is pretty optimized right now. I know they'll definitely improve it with new drivers and stuff, but for what they have right now, it's pretty good, and it's smooth to play. I really enjoy the variety of weapons, attachments, and unlocks. Just like Nikki said, there is an insane amount of unlocks. There are, I think, 12 for your non-main weapons, and then there's 19 unlocks for your main assault rifles, your sniper rifles, etc. And that's crazy, and each gun has that. So when you use a gun that you start to like, you can get attachments for them instead of getting an attachment for all your weapons. What they did with this is made sure that you continue playing with your gun and enjoying your gun, instead of once you got it, oh, I'm going to put it on this gun now because it's more powerful. No, you have to use that gun that might be more powerful to get that attachment you want. So I really like how they've done that. I'm also glad banners are back. I know this is really, anyone who played Battlefield 2 understands why banners are important. A lot of people like them. I enjoy seeing that I got an ace pin, or I destroyed an entire squad by myself. Those type of things are kind of rewarding, and I like how they allow you to see and be rewarded with that. I'm glad, again, like Nikki said, that squad systems are back. I hope they advance it a little bit more than what it is right now, but seeing that there are squads is really nice. Another thing I'm enjoying to see back is, like in Bad Company 2, they had destructible environments. They have semi-destructible environments in here. Most things are destructible, trees, concrete barriers, walls and stuff. Just, I don't think they don't have so far the extent of what they had in Bad Company 2 where you could take down buildings, but that could be something they're working on right now. I'm not sure. Again, they've added a lot of realistic aspects. Now we can go prone like we could in Battlefield Bad Company 2. Glad they brought that back. Sniper spotting is pretty realistic. I know people don't think the lens glare is real, but if you look at a lot of sniper footage and listen to a lot of military recordings, you can actually spot snipers when the sun shines on the scope at a certain position, like how they're facing. So that is realistic. I just think they kind of exaggerate it in Battlefield 3, but that's just to allow players who are tired of snipers to be able to look at them and be able to take them down. Another thing are the hurdling gaps and barrier type animation they do. I really like that. It's a little buggy right now, but again, it's a beta, but I like how they've brought that into your gameplay where, you're not just going to be jumping over and you're able to still shoot. Now you're going to have to hurdle and do an animation just like you probably would in real life. So I really like that. And my last pro, and I'm very proud of saying, is Caspian Border. Glad they finally opened this up to us all. A lot of us were worried that we would not be able to play Caspian Border because it was on private invite only. and now it's open for the rest of the time, and that's exciting because now a lot of people are getting the true Battlefield 3 experience. I'm also going to comment that I really do like the Metro map. I enjoyed Rush in Bad Company 2, but I think I'm going to enjoy Rush a lot more in Battlefield 3, especially, Metro was a pretty well-designed map. I like how they made it different when you went to a day of night, or you were playing in the bright of day, and then you went into a tunnel system where it was super dark, and your attachments really affected how your team moved. So I think it's all for the pros right now. Now we're going to go on to the con side, and Nikki, you got anything to comment?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, in my pros, the new techniques like the flashlight and the red dot reflection, I think that's also a major, major con as well. I think it's, especially the flashlight, it's too overpowered. An enemy can be shining his flashlight towards you and it take up the whole screen. Whereas in real life, I think if you go get a flashlight and point it towards somebody, or even yourself, it's not going to take up your whole line of vision. You can still, see your peripherals, and you can kind of still see around the flashlight area, whether it be above or below. You can still kind of make out some things. I think it's also a major downfall that your teammates can blind you just as much as an enemy can. And whether they intend to or not, if they have their flashlight on and they turn around and you're behind them, also like say sniping or making sure no one comes down a hallway, and they turn around, you can be dead just like that, just because they have turned around and they had their flashlight in your face. I also think that in maps it's very easy or easier for the enemy to get behind you when you spawn, like in your spawn point or in your base, and they're behind you and they can kill you right when you spawn. I think it's a lot easier for them to do that, so I don't like that very well either within the maps and the gameplay. For an open beta, all the betas I have played, I haven't seen as many glitches and bugs as I did with Battlefield. I think you were saying that they had released to us like a previous month behind updates, and so we didn't exactly get the most recent version of the beta, and I think that's probably poor judgment on them. They need to release what they have in order to make sure that what they have isn't conflicting with an existing build. So yeah.
All right, so I'll go into my cons now. What I really noticed is I would talk to a buddy of mine, or a buddy of everyone's in TSM. His name's Ted. And he's pretty critical on movement in video games. And he called this one pretty out, and he's right. In a way, it feels like the movement is a console port style. I'm not saying the game's a console port. I'm saying the movement feel is very console-ish. I don't know how else to explain it. You can't run diagonally. Now, in real life, you can run diagonally. In Battlefield 2, you could run diagonally. In Bad Company 2 and now in Battlefield 3, you can't run diagonally. Now, what do I mean by that is I can't press W and A, or my run forward and my run left or strafe left button and run at a diagonal direction. I have to move my mouse in the diagonal direction and use the forward key. Now, it might not be, that shouldn't really be a con maybe in some people's eyes, but for someone who really pays attention to how movement is, that is actually a pretty big con. Not being able to run diagonal might not seem like a big deal, but it can be a huge game changer, and you guys don't realize it until you try, and when you start doing it all the time. Right now, I agree with Nikki 100% here. For it being a beta, and especially an open beta, they did allow an awful lot of bugs to be present. Now, I understand in the beta there are going to be bugs present, but this one seems a bit overwhelmed with bugs to me. I kind of worry, is DICE going to have enough time, or does DICE have enough time to fix the majority of the critical bugs before game day release? That's something they are working on right now and working very well and diligently. So my last con, because really I didn't have a lot of cons, I really do like how the game plays. My last con so far is I hope they haven't implemented yet, but a vote kick, a vote ban type thing to get rid of, campers that literally don't play the objective at all. AFK people who just sit because, you don't get kicked from the beta right now if you just sit in a game the whole time. You just literally just sit in their spawn, because there was times where I'd be in a squad and my entire 3 guys were AFK and I kept spawning at the beginning spawn, and it was super frustrating. And those were games that we didn't win because we didn't have our whole team playing. And also to get rid of hackers, because I've already already hackers in the beta right now. There's a huge list going on the forums as we talk to get rid of all these guys. And the reason how I know there's at least 150 levels is because one of the hackers that got banned was at 143. So that's how I knew that there was actually a lot more levels in this game than in previous versions of Battlefield. You say you have something real quick?
Yeah, I forgot to add this one. The squads, you can join with a party from the Battlelog, and you can pretty much be guaranteed to be on the same team. But I have never once been able to be on the same squad with somebody I joined with. You can't switch squads. You can leave your squad and be by yourself, but you can't switch squads. You can't search squads. You can't search which squad your friend is in and join that squad. You're stuck with the squad that you spawned into, and I think that's a huge, huge, huge con that you're not able to actually legit play with your friends.
Yeah, I'll have to agree. All right, so that'll be it for the cons. Now we're going to go to the discussion of the overall gameplay or the game itself of Battlefield 3.
Overall, I think that for a beta, I think it's alright, but there's definitely a lot of improvement it needs, especially the squad end of it. They need to fix all the bugs, and I know that they're not going to entirely present us the game 100% in open beta. I'm sure that they're going to save a lot of things for the full game retail release. I don't like Battlelog whatsoever. I think that they should have stuck to Steam or Origin. I think the flashlight and the red dot reflections, there's some good and bad to it. I think they need to tone it down a little bit and attempt to do something about your teammates abusing it on their own people. So I think that's something that they need to think about. Definitely fix the squads. That's something that really, really bugs me, and that's something else that will probably keep me from purchasing it.
Overall, I think the beta is, like Nikki said, it's pretty average. It might even be below average for the amount of bugs they did give out to us. I mean, I've overall enjoyed the beta itself, and I'm enjoying it 100 times more that I get to play Caspian Border with 64 players. I know right now they're stress testing the servers, so not all of them are perfectly unlag free, but being able to experience that is fine with me, and, I really do enjoy this game. I just really enjoy what they've done with innovating like Nikki said, the flashlights and the laser sights to be able to block visions and distract players. I again agree with Nikki having to tone that stuff down because it does seem a little unrealistic if you get plowed in the face with the flashlight, your whole vision won't be completely gone. I mean, when a flashlight usually hits someone, it only blocks out half of their vision. If they get hit on the right eye, it's only going to distort or completely dissolve the vision of the right side and not the left side. So I think things like that, having to tone down will be a necessary thing. I do agree that they aren't releasing everything to us as they shouldn't because there won't be any surprise for us, when we get the retail release. I did read, though, while we were recording that they have released the top 10 bugs that are going to be fixed, and the squad system is one of the things they are really trying to get done now and getting that done on vanilla. They're still looking into certain bugs because they don't understand why they are being caused. So those things might take, one or two patches to fix, which is okay, as long as they somehow diminish the effect of it or, how much it can really affect the gameplay. But I mean, again, overall, the beta was pretty decent. I think they should have personally allowed us to play on a newer build because of things like what I said in the very beginning of the video that, things that we've been complaining about was probably fixed the day they released the beta to us. But I digress. I did like the beta, though, overall, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of it. All right, so now we're going to move on to the last part, which is our summary of the entire thing, Battlelog, Battlefield 3, if we're going to buy it, and why or why not.
I think the squads is a huge thing that they need to fix too. I think that's one of the first things that they need to work on. And I think that the GUI with that, since you're not able to search squads, that's going to have to be something that they reprogram and redesign too if they're going to be able to have a search and join different squads. Because as it seems now, the way that the system is laid out, you're not able to do that. They can't just change it. They're going to have to change some of that interface. Gameplay, I feel that it's okay. I think it does need work, like you said about the console movement feel. I get what you're saying there. It's kind of is pushed back a little bit. It's not advanced enough for a PC. Other than that, I think it's okay. I don't think I would not pre-order it right now. I would not buy it until I know things are fixed, especially with the squad. I don't like the battle log, so that's something that really deters me. If they had an alternative for people like me who don't like the battle log and don't like using a web browser in order to connect, and there was an alternative to that, so you could use like either or, then I would definitely consider buying it or pre-ordering it more than I do now. I don't like the flashlights. It just really bugs me that they would put that on there knowing that your teammate could purposely blind you. I don't understand why they didn't do something about that. And that's going to be, I think, the main thing that people are going to complain about in privately owned servers and servers that gaming communities put up themselves with admins in there. I think you're going to be getting that a lot. So that's something that everyone needs to look out for and try to refrain from kind of either accidentally or purposefully doing. But I think I'm just going to wait it out right now from buying it. What about you?
Well, as you know, I've already pre-ordered it because I'm a fanboy of Battlefield series, and plus I get a free map pack, so why not? And I'd rather be a guinea pig and help make this game and this community be better than rather sit back and let it go to shit. Possibly, there are a lot of people that are complaining already about the game, and to be honest, all I have to say is don't buy the game. Then we don't want people like you that if you're just gonna complain and stuff, and you're just, I mean, I'm not saying you're that person. Nikki, I'm just saying if you look in the forums, like people are raging their asses off for no apparent reason. No one understands that this is a beta, that there are a shit ton of fixes that are going to be happening. And if you're going to have that much of an issue with the game and you continue to still play Battlefield, or you continue to keep playing the beta, I rather you not get the game and just let us continue to try and improve the game for future releases.
I mean, what would you say to people, like including yourself, who had such high expectations for this game, and then they played the open beta, and they see all of these bugs, all of this new stuff, plus things that are taken away, like this being able to join squads and the diagonal movement, and they're so disappointed by the beta, and that's what they're trying to convey to other people and the developers of the game, that this is nowhere near Battlefield quality.
No, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and a lot of Battlefield fans have literally canceled the pre-order because of the beta. I'm just one of those people that I understand where they're at, and I understand the problems that they're going to be having, and I've been in situations like that as a developer myself, so it's completely understandable for why people are acting how they are.
So do you think that they're going to be able to fix all of these bugs before their release date?
Well, from the posts that they've been putting in the forums and making it like basically known, is they've already fixed over 40% of the bugs in just weeks time, which is that's good. That's good progress. The only thing I'm really worried about, and the huge bug that I'm super worried about, is the Battlelog style stuff and the squad system. Squad system needs the most work, I think, like you said. I think they've already addressed it though in one of their posts, that they are reworking the idea of the squad system, that they're going to allow you to create custom squads like you could in Bad Company 2. I think they just wanted to show the people who are new to the series, quote unquote Call of Duty guys, that there will be squad based things, like this is going to be a squad based game.
Okay, so you say that they have fixed 40% of the bugs, but have they released those fixes to us yet?
No, they're not going to do that on the beta. The beta is only 2 more days.
Okay, so how do they know if they have fixed their bugs, and if they release it, how do they know that their fixes aren't going to interfere with something else, creating even more problems?
Well, they do in-house testing within their company. Like, they took the same build that we have and they built upon it. And so when they do these bug fixes, they test them in-house to make sure that they work. They're just not going to release them to us for right now.
Okay, and I see the issue with that is, why did they release an open beta to us with so many problems already, and they didn't in-house test it before?
No, they did in-house test it. Beta is more or less making sure the things that they fixed and things that were wrong in alpha were fixed, and beta is to just polish up things like the movement, the squad system and stuff, because that type of stuff doesn't take months to do. It takes maybe a week or two to do. So other than that, I mean, I've already, like I said, I've already pre-ordered the game. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad that they're already on top of fixing things. I mean, as of right now, they're fixing Battlelog issues. I mean, they had maintenance for like a couple hours or something the other day, but like I said, them being able to separate the Battlelog, which is your server stuff, from the .exe is really good for the update reason, because they can update the game without breaking shit, and being able to work on the Battlelog stuff and server stuff and making it better for us without breaking the game. And I like that. I like that move that they did. I just think they should have taken a different route on how to present it to us. But yeah, overall, I will be the guinea pig for you guys here at TSM as well, because, you know, as you know, me and Vince and Gabe and Duncan are really the only people that pre-order the game, because we believe in the game enough to think that it'll be good for everyone, but we just want to test it for everyone to make sure it's a good to go. And then you guys can buy it, you know, either right away, or you can wait till it goes on the deal like Bad Company 2 did, where it was like, what, $10 on, like, for like a weekend, and like they saw a huge number in people who bought the game. Maybe they'll do something like that with Battlefield 3. You know, I kind of hope they do. It'll bring a lot of people in who were kind of nervous, and they won't feel bad about their purchase because it's only like $15. So, you know, I hope they do something like that relatively soon after the release. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add?
I think the last thing I want to say is, for anyone who plays the game, I know the biggest thing I'm going to bitch about is your teammate shining you in the face with the flashlight on purpose. Please refrain from doing that, because it pisses a lot of people off.
Yeah, I really do think they'll fix that, or, you know, there will be servers. I know there'll be servers that will restrict those attachments from the game or from that server. So if you do use them, you'll probably get kicked and banned. So there will be servers like that, and I think that'll be a way to monitor them. I don't know if they'll be able to do, you know, an algorithm to where, or a condition that will say if your team, if, you know, player on your team has flashlight attachment, it doesn't interfere with other players that are on your team. I don't know how their engine is set up, if it allows that, but hopefully it does, and it'll fix issues like that.
Maybe if you don't be a dumbass about it.
Well, I think people don't intentionally do it because they don't understand that their light is on. I know during the beta myself, I had to rebind the attachment key because it's default at T, and when you're using the WAS keys, you don't really know that T's a pretty far jump, so I just switched it to Q, and that's the first thing I do when I spawn, is I always switch them off because I don't want to be that douchebag that flashes shit in people's eyes, unless it's an enemy. If it's an enemy, I'll do it gladly. Alright, so I think that'll wrap up this episode of TsM Talk. We had a lot to talk about regarding the Battlefield 3 beta. I'd like to thank Nikki for joining me and offering a different viewpoint on these topics. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe to my channel as well as the TGN channel. Again, guys, it's Hicks here from TGN and TsM, and we are YouTube. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.